This is a guide of where to purchase your fragrances, whether they are designer, affordable, or niche. I have a list of all the trusted sites that I purchase from, and I'm gonna tell you guys some positives and negatives about all of them. Hello, my gorgeous ones. Welcome to Aleisha Budget Beauty. My name is Aleisha. Here on my channel, I love all things affordable fashion, beauty, and fragrance. I do hauls, tutorials, reviews, website rundowns of where to purchase, all sorts of fun stuff. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe, stick around, be a friend. All right, you guys, I've been wanting to do this video actually for quite some time because I know that this is something that would be really important and valuable to me, especially when I was really getting into purchasing a lot of fragrances and dabbling in purchasing outside of just, you know, brick and mortar, walk in, see it right in front of you stores. And I thought just compiling the list and really being real with you guys too about expectations. I think that's very important because even though all of these I have purchased from are trusted sites for me, there's still sometimes some negative drawbacks, and I think they're okay as long as you know what to expect, and then it's not so daunting. So I'm excited to do this rundown with you guys. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I do actually want to start with our basic, obvious, straight out the gate, Ulta and Sephora. And I wanna start with these just because, yes, we've all purchased from them, but just talk about a few drawbacks, positives and negatives on that, because I am budget beauty. I like to give you guys tips sometimes about how to just get the best bang for your buck, what to watch for to spend the least amount of money possible. So let's start with Ulta. I think Ulta is definitely the one that you go to when you want to accrue points, when you've already accrued points and you're going to use that toward your purchase. They also obviously have their random coupon codes. Sometimes you can use them on fragrances, sometimes you cannot. You always have to look at that fine print. I just had one recently come in that I could use $10 off or $20 off if I spend $100 or more. So in the mailers as well, not just your emails, you have to look in the mail for your mailers and then look at the fine print. And I try to be strategic about if there is a fragrance, I have looked, is it at Sephora? Is it also at Ulta? Maybe I check and see if it's on some other sites too. If I see that a $20 off coupon or a 20% off coupon that might potentially come in the future for fragrance, if I see that that's going to be the cheapest route, I'll just hold off, put it in my cart, kind of forget about it. And then when that email comes in and I have that extra discount, that's when I'll go ahead and pull the trigger and purchase that fragrance from Ulta. And then, like I said, you get the points, and the more points that you get, the higher. If you are diamond, platinum status, you're gonna get more points, more dollars off. So that's generally how I use Ulta and fragrance. Used to, there were certain fragrances that were only available at Ulta that weren't at Sephora. Like say an Ariana Grande fragrance, that's no longer the case. Let's take Le Monde Gourmand though, for example. Ulta is a place that I think is the best to purchase Le Monde Gourmand for the most part. For the most part, I have one other one that is a kind of a little sneaky, people don't really know about it. I'm not gonna gatekeep it. But you get, you know, if you get 20% off of a $25, you know, fragrance, that's probably better than even when you purchase from the actual website from Le Monde Gourmand, and you cannot get Le Monde Gourmand at somewhere like Sephora. So that is what I use my Ulta fragrance purchases for. Okay, now let's move over to Sephora. Typically, I do not advise purchasing fragrances from Sephora because they are usually just their regular retail price, and you're usually not getting any kind of discount unless it is a Sephora sale. Every blue moon, they will do some sort of fragrance, like 10% off. It doesn't happen very often. I want to say it happened right after the Sephora sale or the Black Friday sale, something last year, but typically you're not going to get the best price at Sephora. The only time that I really reserve to purchase my fragrances there is either A, if it's the only place that I can get them, if I've accrued some points there as well, and I know that the $10 off is gonna be cheaper than somewhere else, or the actual Sephora sale. I'm almost at Rouge, so I almost have the 20% off. I have a friend who shares her code with me very graciously. And I do have 2 in my cart right now from Chris Collins, actually. So when that Sephora sale hits, that's the cheapest that I'm gonna get it. I'm not, unless Chris Collins actually has a Black Friday sale that I don't know about that's better than 20%. I'm never gonna get it cheaper than that. So that's when I'm gonna pull the trigger for there. And then that purchase will actually make me Rouge and I'll have my 20% off as well. But for the most part, you guys, if it's designer, do not purchase from Sephora or even Ulta, you guys, because usually there are discount sites that are gonna have those fragrances much cheaper. And I'm about to talk about those in just a minute. Now, before I get to those discount sites, I wanna talk about the one that I was referring to about Le Monde Gourmand that sometimes I can get a better deal on and that I don't wanna gatekeep from you guys. And that is Urban Outfitters. Yes, I'm recommending Urban Outfitters as a site to purchase fragrance from. The reason why, they don't have an extensive fragrance collection, but they do have quite a few Le Monde Gourmand. They had Dead Cool. They have the Barbie fragrance. Sometimes they have some random other ones that you'll see in places like Sephora as well. And then they have some off the beaten path. Like I just recently, they had an in-app purchase, I believe 20% off site-wide, where I purchased some Korean fragrances that are on their way and they sound lovely. Let me know if you want a review on those. But when they do their 20% off site-wide, that's when I jump on the fragrance sale. And I've even seen 30% off site-wide. And that is how I got one of my Dead Cools for 30% off, which was cheaper than purchasing it even a Sephora sale. And then you also do get points as well on the app if you are a member, and then eventually you'll get a $5, $10 off coupon. So does it have the most extensive fragrance catalog? No, it doesn't. But if you're curious, hop on there and then definitely sign up for the emails or sign up for the app and wait until you get that site-wide sale, and that's when to get the fragrances. Oh yes, and I do wanna say real quick, a bonus about the Urban Outfitters is they ship so quickly. I'm talking sometimes day of or next day, which is always exciting. So far, I haven't had any drawbacks from them either. Well, okay, let me think of one. I did purchase one fragrance right now that is a pre-order. I don't mind that. That doesn't bother me. Some people want that instant gratification. The rest of the order has already shipped, and that other fragrance isn't shipping for another 2 weeks, I believe. So I've seen that twice. Not that big of a deal for me, but I want to be transparent about that for you guys. Okay, let's move on to some of my most trusted and purchased from discount sites. So let's start with Joma Shop. Joma Shop is probably one of my most, if Joma Shop and Fragrance Net, I think are my 2 most shop from discount sites. Now, Joma Shop, I would have said about a year ago, no drawbacks whatsoever. It's been seamless, it's been perfect. But I do have a little bit of criticism, but just as long as you're aware of it, it's actually not a deal breaker at all. Here lately, in the last several months, it has taken much longer for a lot of the fragrances to ship. Now, I think sometimes with Joma Shop, they must have a third party that they acquire the fragrance from afterwards, get it, and then ship it off to you. I don't think that they always have everything in stock. That's just my hypothesis, because it went from me a year, 2 years ago purchasing from them and pretty much getting it shipped out within a week to now sometimes I'm waiting 2 months. And I have had an occasion where I just canceled it altogether. The other drawback is I have had them cancel fragrances on me now, I think 4 times, whereas that never happened before. In the last, I say 6 months, it's happened to me 4 times. So for whatever reason, I don't know if it sells out and they aren't aware that they have already sold a certain amount. I don't know if their third-party distributor sells out themselves and then they can't get a hold of it, but that has happened 4 times. Typically, it's an older fragrance. Like I had a Paris Hilton fragrance because I collect them and I was just missing 3 of them, I think. And I ordered it. I was really excited it was on there. And then after a couple of weeks, they canceled it and said it's no longer available. So I probably will never get that one in my hands, to be honest. It was probably one of the few. Now, what I do love about them is their prices. I'd say 8 times out of 10 cannot be beat. They have the best prices on a lot of the top tier fragrances. That's where I got my Killian Angel share. It was by far the cheapest place to get it at the time. They have tons of fragrances too. Their catalog is insanely large. And it's also very easy to navigate. You can filter really easily. They have niche fragrances, they have designer. You can filter by Middle Eastern fragrances, unisex, female, male. The site also has things like designer watches and clothing and things like that. I personally have never purchased anything other than fragrance from them. But as far as them actually shipping to you, as long as they don't cancel it, they do always ship. I've never had anything arrive broken. I've never had a mistake of anything as well. Everything's always intact. And like I said, the prices almost cannot be beat. So the only drawback is that you might choose a fragrance that ends up being out of stock, losing out on that, or you may now have to wait a couple of months even for a fragrance. And that might be a deal breaker for you. The good thing is they will refund, and that is a really easy process. All that you do is go to your order. They've got a button right there and you can cancel like that and it's done. You don't have to email. So Joma Shop is definitely one that I do recommend. Now, the other one that I've purchased from a ton of times and honestly have been purchasing from for like 20 years, something like that, if not very, very close, is Fragrance Net. And I think that's probably the most popular, the most well-known, you know, if someone doesn't just shop in a place like Sephora, Ulta, is Fragrance Net. And again, an enormous inventory. You could just sit there all day long and be on that website. Some drawbacks for me though, to be honest, is a lot of times that website flat out doesn't work. And I don't know if it's like a heavy traffic time because it is such a popular site. And I believe, if I'm correct, that they ship globally. So I think that there, at any given point in time, there could be 1 million people on the website. And sometimes it just won't even load. So that's a little frustrating. The prices are also sometimes the best I can find. If it's not Joma Shop, it's almost always going to be Fragrance Net that is the cheapest. I love that they a lot of times do have testers. If I don't want to buy the real deal, I can get a really good deal on it. I like that they do have a rewards program as well that you can get points to use later if you accrue enough. Shipping time is decent. It's still not extremely quick. I'd say for the most part, it ships with either 1 to 2 weeks from the day that I purchased. That's not the day that I get it, but that's the day that it'll actually ship out. I've never had anything broken. I've never had anything missing or any issue like that. I do have a really big complaint though. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. It's just something, I like when things are logical. When things are illogical, just nonsensical, it just drives me nuts. They send out emails all the time, and even sometimes mailers in the mail for a coupon. And they're like 33, 37% off or $50 off, whatever. It is never, not once has it ever been cheaper than what's always running on their site. And I'm like, do you think we're stupid? Or do you think I have a hot button where if I think someone is placating me or condescending or trying to make me feel dumb because I know that I'm not, I get very offended. So this might be a me thing where I think, boy, girl, whoever sent this, I can do math. Every time you send a code or anything off, get this extra off, it takes away the code that's already automatically added on there, and it's never as cheap. So why even do it? It's so annoying. It used to get my hopes up like, ooh, this is gonna be a better deal. It's never a better deal. It's a waste of paper. It's a waste of time. Don't do it. It's dumb. Or make the deals better. Anyway, that's my soapbox on that. But I purchased, I mean, probably 100 fragrances off of there. One of my favorite places to purchase for sure is FragranceNet. All right, another go-to for me is actually Fragrance X. And occasionally, every once in a while, Fragrance X is the cheapest place as well. Usually FragranceNet or Joma Shop is cheaper than Fragrance X, but occasionally, especially they're already more kind of discounted, cheaper fragrances like Demeter, for example. My biggest example is Demeter. Demeter fragrances are the cheapest on Fragrance X. You get a, I think it's 120 mil, something like that, for $19.90 something. And they always do the 15% off automatically discounted to code. So if you think you're getting an extra one, you're not. It's always this 15% off and automatically applied. At least mine's always logged in. So if you haven't logged in, create an account, make sure you always get your 15% off. And that is at least $5, if not $10 cheaper for those Demeter fragrances than they ever are on any other site, including like Amazon, their own site, even FragranceNet, they're cheapest on Fragrance X. My absolute favorite thing about Fragrance X is they ship so quickly. I think they even guarantee they will ship within 48 hours, if not, I think next day. Sometimes it ships day of. I love that. They also have quite a bit to choose from on there. Typically, they get fragrances a little bit later than the other. You start to notice if you go to these sites often and look at what's new, they get a lot of the same fragrances in as each other. And Fragrance X is usually a tad behind, but not always. Sometimes they do get them before FragranceNet. But biggest thing is that if you are looking to get something quickly, that's where I would go because they ship very, very fast. And again, I've never had any problems with the actual shipping. So it's still definitely one of my favorites to shop from. Okay, next I have Cosmetics. And this is very particular about how I want to advise to shop on this site. What got me to first do a purchase off of there was, I believe, a Dead Cool, again, fragrance. And I think I got it 40% off. And the way that I got that is if it is your first purchase, you get 40% off. I believe it may change every once in a while. Maybe it's 30, but this day it was 40% off. I knew there was no way I was going to get that cheaper off of Sephora or even their site. So that's what got me to first purchase from them. Then I have a couple of emails. I have a personal email, and then I have a creator influencer email, and then I actually have one other one. So I've had 3 ways where I could get 40% off 3 different times. But then they also regularly send emails that they're having deals and percentages off. Now, sometimes it's off of only particular fragrances. So, you know, sometimes it doesn't count on your really, really high end. But sometimes that email that comes with a 30% off is going to be better than the other sites. A lot of times it's not, but I have seen it every once in a while. I did purchase my Narciso Rodriguez Rouge, I think is what I purchased off of there, and got it the cheapest that I could get anywhere else because a coupon came in. And they ship in a pretty timely manner as well. So if you've ever wondered about that site, it is legit. A lot of times their prices are higher than others, but if you utilize those first purchases or the email codes that come in, sometimes you'll get the best deal for Cosmetics. Okay, another site that I have purchased from, I think 2 or 3 times, is Discount Perfumes. Now, this is a little bit more obscure one, and really I use this one for, or I did use this one for, it was a site that had fragrances on it that no one else had. So it's usually discontinued fragrances. They do have still your mainstream ones that you see all the time, not necessarily going to be the cheapest. They're still discounted. They're still cheaper than you would have found, you know, retail in, you know, your department store. But if you're looking for something a little bit more obscure or discontinued, then I would check that site. Had no problems with the shipping on there, so I can say that that one is also safe. All right, let's talk about Amazon and Walmart. I'll kind of put those two together because I have the same kind of thoughts about these two. I've purchased a lot off of Amazon. One, it's easy. Two, usually it's pretty quick on shipping, which we love. The only drawback really with Amazon fragrance purchases is you could get counterfeit. I had that happen on Walmart. I did. And I've had success shopping on Walmart as well. And Walmart online has turned into kind of Amazon where there's different, you know, sellers on there, and some sellers are more trustworthy than others. It is a gamble always. At least on Amazon specifically, you can look at actual, like if you're looking at Lattafa, say, House of Lattafa, they have their own Amazon store. So you know it's coming from Lattafa. It's not necessarily coming from Susie Jane fragrances. I just made that up. But you know that it's coming from a reputable house. But Walmart, I purchased Matcha Meditation from Replica. What came was, it looked like a travel Matcha Meditation, looked just like the bottle, was in the cardboard packaging and everything. You guys, it is not Matcha Meditation. It smells really good, whatever it is, but it is not matcha. They didn't even try to put something in there that smelled similar. Like whatever they put in there smells more like, I don't know, like black opium minus the patchouli. That's really what this smells. I really want to know what it is. I want to know what I have. I didn't even bother sending it back. I was like, that's what I get for purchasing. Like, I think it was, I don't know, $18 for a travel. I ended up purchasing the real deal off of Joma shop, and it's supposed to be delivered today because Matcha Meditation is one that's discontinued. I've always wanted a travel of it. Found it on Joma shop for, I think, $26, which sounds more accurate. But that is the gamble. But sometimes I have found fragrances like, say, Britney Spears. That is a main one that I have purchased a lot from Walmart or Amazon, and they were legit. They came in plastic in the box, wrapping and everything, and found the cheapest on Walmart or Amazon. So I think those sites are really, really good for those already cheaper fragrances. If you're getting into the high end or niche, it's more of a gamble for sure. Oh my goodness, editing me in here. I was exercising, and as you do in your exercise, your brain starts firing and you think of things. I left out a site that I shop from all the time for Middle Eastern inexpensive fragrances. So hence the change of clothing. So real quick, Aroma Concepts. I shop from them all the time for my brands like Paris Corner. Now they have Lattafa, they have some of their own fragrances. And this is primarily where I get those type, you know, especially if it's Paris Corner, it's probably coming from Aroma Concepts. They ship out of Florida, and they get in a lot from Gulf Orchid, which is a Dubai big distributor. So I get a little bit of PR from them, but I purchase a lot myself. I just got an order in today that I purchased. And I love the site because the prices are great. They run sales all the time. I do have a code with them, but seriously, you guys, sometimes their sales are better than my code. Like, just the one that I purchased was 30% off. My code is for 20% off. So if you want to use my code, great. If not, like, don't, and then definitely always do the better deal. But I get asked a lot about their shipping, and I do find that sometimes they ship quicker than others. This last one that I ordered, from the day that I ordered it till I received it, was less than a week. But sometimes it's taken 3 weeks. So I think it just kind of depends on the launch, what's going on. I did have one thing come broken one time. That was a PR item, so I didn't make a big deal about it. It was free, but I have had another friend said she had something come broken one time. They're pretty responsive and good about correcting things. You just need to email them. But this is definitely my go-to site for those affordable Middle Eastern fragrances. I would advise, if you're on TikTok, follow them on there because they do a lot of launches, you know, and on Instagram too, that you can see something is launching and get it early. But definitely one of my favorite Middle Eastern sites to shop from. Okay, now let's talk about a few that I recommend for purchasing purchasing niche fragrances from specifically. Now you can purchase those often off of Fragrancenet or Joma Shop as well. But a site that I like to get some of my niche fragrances from is Olfactive. Now, Olfactive, I have a video that went up not too long ago talking about their subscription. So if you don't know, real quick, Olfactive has a monthly subscription that you can get either the women's or the men's or both. It's a monthly subscription. You get to try out different niche fragrances, small houses that you wouldn't typically get to smell, you know, if you're shopping at your mainstream sites and stores. So I love it for that. But they also have a catalog of actual niche fragrances that you can purchase full size of. They also have quite a few samples as well that you can purchase. So I like to shop it for that. If you are a member and get the subscription, then you do get a special discount off of their site as well. So sometimes they have something that other sites just don't have. Or if I try to fragrance the month in the monthly subscription that I really like, and I want to get a full size, I get 20% off of a full size of that. And sometimes that's cheaper than any other site. So again, very reputable, reliable site to purchase. They also treat customers really well on there. If you have any issues, they will listen to you. Really recommend that site if you're into niche. The other site that I would recommend is Twisted Lily. Twisted Lily has a ton of niche fragrances. They also have a lot of samples. I've personally only purchased samples off of there, but that's how I got my nose on some houses I was really curious about that are really high end, more expensive. I didn't want to blind buy them, and they have nice packaging. They're very, very reliable, so I would recommend them. Another place I recommend samples from specifically is Micro Perfumes. I purchased a lot off of there. Now, Micro Perfumes does little bitty vials that are dabbers, which not everyone loves, but they're super affordable. Like, we're talking the cheapest samples that you can get. High-end, niche. They have more designer than they do anything. But they do have some niche in there as well. So the little bitty dabbers are very, very inexpensive, and it does just give me an idea if it's something I might want to look into getting full size. They also have very affordable travel sizes as well that come in the atomizers. I have gotten to where I've gotten a little bit away from purchasing those, because if you get too many of them, you can't tell what's what, because they're those kind of frosted matte packaging, you know, travel cases that don't have the name on them. I'm sure you could get a label maker and put the name on there and distinguish them, but it's a great place to purchase travels and samples if you just want to get your nose on a bunch of things. That is Micro Perfumes. Now, there are a few sites that I have not purchased from myself, but I'm going to talk about them real quick because I know others have. Friends I have in the business, in the community, purchase from them, and they seem reliable, and they are places that I have considered purchasing for myself, and that is Max Aroma. Max Aroma is one of the most popular ones. I see people purchase from them all the time, and the only reason why I haven't purchased from them is they will run these sales, like these 2-day flash sales. And they look like amazing prices, and they are. They're really, really good prices. They have a lot of niche, and they will mark them down, sometimes like 40% off, you'll see. But usually if I go Google and I find that fragrance, I will find it maybe just $4 or $5 cheaper still on somewhere like Joma Shop or Fragrancenet. So that's the only thing that's kept me from it. But I do think that they have a reward system that I need to look into that may make it in the long run worth purchasing from them. Because if you end up getting, you know, $20 off down the road, that might be the cheapest way. But they have a ton of really unique fragrances, and sometimes they do have fragrances that no one else has as well. So in the future, I'm sure I will purchase from Max Aroma. Two others are Scent Split and Lucky Scent. Those are two other really, really popular niche sites I see people purchase from all the time. Never heard a bad thing about them. And they also have the option of different sizes on those sites, especially Scent Split. I think you can get you know, like a 2 ounce, 4 ounce. They do different decants. So you can not commit to a full size if you don't want to, and really figure out if it is something that you want to spend your money on instead of just purchasing, you know, a $200 fragrance right out the gate. You can get like a 6 mil, a 10 mil. There's different options on sizes, which I think is really, really neat. So there are other sites I've purchased from before, other things, but I feel like these are the ones that I go back to time and time again. And really, you guys, it's just about comparing. Some people don't want to spend the time doing it. Hey, if you're someone that has all the money in the world at your disposal and you want to walk into Sephora and buy that Dolce & Gabbana fragrance for market value, you go do it, girlfriend, boyfriend. This girl is a researcher and a budget pricing, best price. I love a bargain. So I am always cross comparing, trying to find the cheapest way to get my fragrances. And I hope this video will help you guys, especially if you've been nervous about purchasing from some of these sites. At least the ones I've purchased from, I can say that they are safe to buy from. But I thank you guys so much for watching today. Let me know if you liked this video. And as always, have fun shopping, budget shopping, and smelling fabulous. Bye.